Kidderminster Harriers fans podcast. It's episode 18. Now, this is new to me as well, to be honest with you. Is it Wednesday? On Wednesday night. Because Harriers played three, undefeated in three, yet Dan had a moan last night. He said, right, I want a podcast straight away. I want one tomorrow night. And John was like, well, I'm free. So I thought, yeah, why not? Let's just do it. So episode 18, and Dan's here to rant. Come on, Dan. What's happening, mate? What's your problem? What's your problems, big buddy?
Well, I mean, my I think the words that were going through my head are that this was 11 players on the pitch that didn't look like they knew each other. 11 strangers on the pitch, I think I said at half time. And I think what my concern is, I watched the interview with Adam Murray and I agreed with a large proportion of what he said, and I think there were positives in there. But I think what I'm seeing right now is a manager that doesn't know who his starting 11 is. And how can you get a team gelling if you don't know who your starting 11 is? And I think that's where the moan came from essentially is
Yeah.
just where do we go from here if we're about to go into 5 games of really difficult teams, probably four of which have been tipped to at least reach playoffs. How are we going to compete with those teams when we're sort of in a position where we've got 5 changes from Saturday? We had was it 3 changes from the week before? It just feels all over the place right now, and even though I still stand by what I said, it's early days and we need to gel. I don't feel like he knows what team he wants to gel just yet. And I wanted to put that out to you guys and get your thoughts on
Dan, you're in a safe space. Um, but
that.
what I want to say, right, and this made me chuckle because I don't know if you caught if you thought about this in the interview he did, right? But he said so it's not verbatim, but he said something along the lines of, "I would never use having new players as an excuse." Right? So that's fine. Then he uses a word you never use, never ever use. He went, "But," and I
But
thought, "What? Are
yeah.
you kidding? Are you actually kidding me?" You can't say but. It just doesn't work. John Smith, tell me I'm wrong.
I don't think you're wrong. I think we had a good range of opposition in pre-season. I think we pretty much all said, "Wow, we've got all of our business done by the end of June." Pretty much, if you know, and a lot of it was at the start of June. Um, and I think we all expected a team to be taking the pitch that was going to have been well drilled, to use a common phrase, and had, if not fully gelled, then at least learned how to play together. But I'm not putting everything on the players. I think Dan was spot on that Adam Murray does not know his best 11. He said that essentially after workshop, didn't he? He said, I'm going to learn more about my players in the next 2 weeks than I have in the last 7. And I think the time for learning is going to be very, very quickly up. We're already more than one win off the top. And I know that might sound alarmist after 3 games, but we've got, as Dan said, a tough run of games coming up. And after the next 3 games, are we going to be still in that position, or is it going to be a bit worse?
It's a great question, that John. A great question. I had something I was going to say, and I forgot what it was now. Oh yeah. So Dan had an issue with this, but he even took them camping, John. Do you know what I mean? They spent the night in tents together, apparently, or was it all just for show?
No,
So
they did. They did. I I had the opportunity to speak to Cam Candola. He was gracious enough to give up his own time to come to my son's football team at presentation and give out the trophies, and had a chance to have a sort of 10-15 minute chat to him. And he was very, very positive about the way that the squad was gelling. I asked him about the camping trip, and he
yeah,
said they were team building activities, and they all had time together that he hasn't had before with any other team.
yeah.
And he was really genuinely not this. I don't get the feeling that this was just lip service. He was genuinely saying the feeling is we're going to go one step further this season. We're going to get over the line, and this is a team that can take us up.
Well, you know my feelings on this. If we don't get automatic promotion, what was the point? That's my thoughts. And I hope I'm wrong at the end of the season. I hope we do go up, but that's just what I'm saying. I watched the highlights, guys, and Oxford looked all right, to be honest. Or was it us
Yeah.
making them look all right? Did we let them look all
So
right?
I sort of felt like Oxford were definitely a better drilled side than any Oxford side we've seen in the last 2 years. They had their number nine up front, Isaac Westendorf.
Westendorf, is it? Westendorf.
Yeah, he
Great
looked the
name.
business.
Some
He
great
great
names in this
movement.
league, man.
It's a brilliant name, isn't it? But he looked the business. He had great movement off the ball. He was strong. He was good with the ball at his feet. There was a lot I liked about him, and he
Did he
troubled us.
score?
He did not.
So
It
he's
was
not the
Jack
business at all, then, is
Bean.
he, Dan?
Yeah,
Eh?
no, it was Jack Bean who was the other person I was going to say.
Former
Look good
kiddie
for
man.
Oxford,
Former
former
kiddie
Kitty
man.
Harrier. Yeah, he was very pacey. He was very nippy for the goal. Alex Penny was just caught completely square,
What was
and when you've
happening
got a
there?
man,
Was he
yeah,
was he
it wasn't
running
great.
in oil or something, or what was happening?
It was it wasn't great to watch. And I think there were strikers in the league where Alex could have got away with that, but somebody with that much pace and that much composure, he had no chance. The minute he was caught square on the ball like that, then he was always in trouble. Um, but going back to the question, Oxford were a well-drilled, good-looking outfit. I have one of the things I sort of moaned about a lot to my dad on the way home and to the wife as well when I got home.
Yeah.
I sort of felt like every time we picked the ball up in the middle of the field, or perhaps, sort of left of centre, you had Reece Devine moving into space down the left wing. And our lads would stop, they would come back in, and then they would try and ping a ball cross field. And I sort of get the premise, perhaps, that, if we're moving in one direction, that sudden switch of play catches the other team unbalanced, and does it create space? Oxford were far too well drilled for that. They had a very organised back four/five, and the balls that were being played across just weren't good enough. And I sort of felt like, okay, if we'd have done it once or twice, is it just on the off chance? But we did it time and time again, and it felt to me like this was a tactical move that is something that had been drilled into them at training. And in my opinion, it felt naive because to me it was almost like, well, we'll catch the team out here. Oxford will be moving in the one direction, we'll switch it over. And it didn't work. And I don't know whether that was because we just weren't moving the ball quick enough. And I do think through large periods of the game, we didn't move the ball quick enough. Or was it the fact that homework had been done to an extent, but not completely? And we actually were playing a different team to what we thought we were playing. We were playing a team that was much better drilled at the back than what we thought. And the number of times we just wasted possession on these crossfield balls was very frustrating. And John, I'll ask you, did you think the same thing, or did you have a different view of that from where you were stood?
Yeah, I very much agree with you with what you're saying. I think that we were trying things that we'd clearly worked on in training, which is good to see, because
Mhm.
I feel like that was, I mean, last season, we all know that we didn't react to anything that the opposition had done previously. There was little to no scouting or analysis done on the opposition, and I don't feel like that's the case now. So my question back to that would be, are we actually trying to over engineer things
Mm.
rather than just playing to our strengths as a team? And I think we saw a couple of things at Worksop, one which came off very well and resulted in a goal, the
Yeah.
corner routine. Then
Yeah.
there was a free kick routine, which didn't so well. So these things that we're working clearly very hard on the training pitch, are we overthinking, over engineering things? If we just go out there and play our game, and as Adam Murray said, not get sucked into how they want us to play, which it feels like we've really played into the hands of the last two teams we've played. Would we have more success if we just played our own game and didn't try to overthink, over engineer, overplay, really?
It's not for lack of opportunities up front from the highlights. I've not seen a game yet, but from the highlights I've seen, I mean, Amari's missed a few, Willoughby's missed a few, Adiga's missed a few. It's not for the sake of, us not actually having attempts at goal, but we just seem to forget how to put the ball in the back of the net when we get to that position. I've got a question for you, actually, boys.
Yeah.
The bird throw, the magic bird throw, which obviously is a big part of why we got him in. He throws it in, and I swear to God, it looks like no one knows what to do. Was that fair or not?
Well, I think that ties into what I was going to say about the point you were making just before as well, that when you think about, when you look at those highlights, the highlights, I think, paint a much more positive picture than what we
Obviously.
watched last night. And
Yeah.
I think the opportunities were few and far between. And now I don't think it was a case of they were few and far between because we weren't engineering opportunities. The issue for me was the final ball into the box was atrocious.
Oh.
And and then
Oh.
it was either that the ball was overhit straight into the goalkeeper's hands, sorry, underhit into the goalkeeper's hands, or overhit out for a goal kick. There was a lot of that going on, but there was also a lot of, okay, we've got the ball in the final third, let's get it into the box. But no, we stopped, we turn around, we play it sideways, we play it backwards, and I'm all for recycling a ball. Yeah, I totally agree, but I think you can't. I think Adam Murray said something in his interview about the team playing with fear, and I do agree with that. And I could feel that last
Mm.
night, that there was an element of trying to play simple football. They wanted an extra touch, they wanted longer on the ball than they were getting, and I do feel like the confidence of the team is low because they haven't gelled. I do agree with all of that. But I think what I want to see and what I want Adam to be really sort of pushing through is to engineer the opportunities in a way that feels natural instead of what John said, like trying to force that final ball into the box. And we just weren't. So it was either that we wouldn't put it in, or when we did put it in, we were trying to force it into the box, and it just wasn't working.
Waiting for the perfect ball,
Exactly.
and,
Yeah.
and when we finally decide that it is the perfect opportunity, we don't deliver the quality in
Mhm.
there. So we might as well have tried to, take those chances either a little bit further out or not from the angle that would have been ideal, and one of them might have paid off. Um, One thing, and this is slightly going off the point, is
Ooh.
I think after the first three games, the one thing that is clear to me is this is a better National League North.
Mm.
I would say maybe not every, but the vast majority of teams have stepped their game up, and I think a lot of teams are surprising people.
Yeah.
South Shields, Merthyr,
Yeah.
Workstop.
Southfield.
I think teams have come in and into this season with a better plan, a better approach, and a lot of them with more money. Um, we're seeing teams that would have traditionally been down at the bottom really perform and have players that can really compete in this league. And I think if we're going to deal with that and deal with a more regular threat and a tougher test on a more regular basis, so every other Saturday is going to be a real battle. We've got to find our best 11, and we've got to find a way that we want to play football. And I don't think we should ignore what the opposition do, but we should really be finding a style of football that suits the players that we've got on the pitch. I mean, we need to know who those players are first. I mean, we had our third captain in three games.
Mm.
Um,
It's why doesn't he just admit that's a rubbish idea? Because it
what
is.
the captain rotation?
Yeah, absolute
I
rubbish.
don't think that's a deliberate thing. I think it's just because of the rotation of
Rotation.
the squad.
Mhm.
Can Tunney not play
That's the
like
personnel
two
change.
games? Can Tunney not play a Saturday and a Tuesday? Is that what we're saying now?
So I just have a quick libation.
John's
Um,
on it now. He's on it.
Yeah.
um, As far as I know, he can. I mean, I was surprised that he didn't come on. Apparently he was warming up at half time and never came on. I
Yeah.
don't know why that is.
He was stretching
Um,
across the pitch, and yeah, I was surprised I didn't see him appear.
I mean, we ended up with a back two of Penny and Folkes,
Hmm.
and so how come Tunnicliffe wasn't on there? Which would have freed up Folkes. I don't know, but I don't think there are any players across the team, with the exception maybe of Amari and David Davis, who I thought was superb again last night.
Rolls Royce.
Um, who you would expect couldn't play, 70, 80 minutes Tuesday, Saturday.
Yeah.
But he does. Last question about the game, actually. We'll look at the table in a minute. But Joe Folkes, not Folkestan, it's Folkes.
I
Silent
can't
U.
pronounce it.
What?
Folkes.
Folkes.
All right.
Like,
It's the U confuses.
what rhymes with Folkes? Dokes, Lokes,
Wokes?
Tokes, Stokes. I don't know. Anyway, yeah.
Sam
So,
Folkes, I don't know. Let's
anyway, let's move on quickly. How did he play? And I heard a vicious rumor that he put in a quality change on the 95th minute that should have got a red carded.
Yes. Joe, I thought I don't think he was 100% last night. And I think the presence of Josh Parker may have had something to do with that. There was a bit of a strange moment trying to remember which way, it was the second half, where Joe and Josh sort of came together. Joe ended up on his back and Josh sort of stood over him, smiling at him. And then sort of Joe picked himself up and Joe's face was like thunder. He just, and it just sort of felt like, okay, has he got into his head a bit here? Very possibly. But after 65 minutes of game, things turned. Harriers suddenly came into it, and Joe was part of that. They'd pushed Joe forward for a while. He seemed to be happier sort of further up the pitch. He was creating opportunities, and suddenly we felt, I could sort of see the old Joe sort of in there. But I wouldn't say last night was his best performance. I wouldn't say he was terrible by any stretch of the imagination. But I do wonder if there was a little bit in the back of his mind against Josh last night.
So did he annihilate him at any point? Did anyone annihilate him at any point?
Not really, no. I don't think he got kicked in the air as we expected. There were a couple of challenges.
John smiled then. Something must have happened.
Well, he didn't get kicked in the air, but there certainly there was. I think folks' frustration shone through right at the very end, and it was a 2-footed tackle, and I think. I can't remember which player it was on actually, Dan.
No,
I
can't either.
I would think I was just aghast, like that meme of the boy in the audience. I think my first reaction was that's a red. I'm glad it wasn't, obviously. I think a few people felt that would have been a bit harsh, but I think walking away with a yellow card there should feel pretty chuffed. Folkes, I thought, had another really good game. Not quite at the standard he had been the games before, but I think he still did very well. I thought it was interesting when Walker and Saziba came on. I thought that that kind of changed things for Joe. It gave him a different role.
Yeah.
Walker, I thought. There were two players who were described by people surrounding me in the North Stand as a speedboat without a driver, and George Walker was one of them. We'll come to the other one, I'm sure, at some point, Wes. And Saziba, I was shocked that Saziba didn't start after what I thought was a really great performance at Worksop. And really shone, and I think he would have troubled a lot of people. When he did come on, he came on the left-hand side. I was a little bit surprised about that because
he's played left all pre-season though.
But I think after how well he played on the right-hand side and the balls that he was putting in, when he tried to do the same on the left, it didn't seem to work quite as well. and he's not one of those who's going to cut in like that.
Mm.
I mean, he played on the right, Scarborough and Worktop, didn't he? I feel like that's his best position.
When he came in for Mooney, definitely, yeah, he was on the right. Mm.
Um, right. We've had 3 games. We thought before the 3 games we'd have had 9 points by now. But actually, it's South Shields who've got 9 points. Haven't conceded a goal yet. 3 out of 3. Scored 5. And then second is Kings Lynn, who we play on the 2nd of September. I'll be there because it's like an hour from my house. I have to go. I don't want to go, but I've got to go. Then Chorley, Merthyr dropped to 4th. Fylde to 5th. Fylde are always everywhere. They're always in there. And Macclesfield 6th. Marine 7th. Well done, Marine. Spennymoor 8th. Kidderminster Harriers 9th. Just above Bedford Town, obviously. Keep great company.
And I think that just backs up what I was saying earlier, that this is a stronger league this season, and there's a bigger variety of opponents that are going to give a tougher test. Kings Lynn, I think, won 5-0 last night, was it? I think. And you got South Shields, who we beat 5-0 at their place last year.
We did.
They were for a few they were whipping boys. I think they conceded 4 or 5 a few times. And I think Kings Lynn is a really tough test. Fylde, again, we've never historically done well at Fylde. I think I've seen us win there once. That wasn't on penalties anyway, which was the start of the run that got us promoted. That's going to be a tough test. Kings Lynn is going to be a tough test. We've got really difficult games coming up, and did we, or actually did I will hold my hands up and, take accountability. Did I underestimate the opposition in this league for the first 3 games? Yes. I said we should come away with at least 7 points. It was a tougher test than I thought, but we should still have come away with at least 7 points. When I said at least 7, I was sat there thinking in my head, but we're going to win all 3, really, aren't we? And I think, this really presses the point home even more that Murray needs to find his best 11. He needs to find the system of playing that suits that 11 and the squad players to bring on to change it if necessary, and needs to do it pretty damn quickly.
Dan, do you reckon Kidderminster Harriers will raise their game against Fylde on Saturday?
Honestly, I don't think we're there yet.
Well, they're screwed if they don't, to be fair.
I genuinely don't think we're there yet. I would love to be able to say yes to that question. If I was saying yes to that question, I wouldn't have been screaming at you for an emergency podcast this evening, I think.
Like a Cobra meeting.
A Cobra meeting.
That's what it was. There'll be many of those during the season. I love that. We should, do you know what? We should do this on Wednesday. If after we played on Tuesday, and if we can, we should do it on Wednesday. I didn't realize how important it would be, but I think it's really important, to be fair.
Yeah.
Because you can't wait until the Sunday, the next
Sunday.
Sunday.
You've got 2 games to cover.
You can't do that. There's no way we can do that. Well, we could, but there you go. And then Bank Holiday Monday, my first game, Leamington at home. We have to beat Leamington. I'm sorry, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not doing this. Oh, yeah, but no, shut up. We've got to beat Leamington.
I want to make a prediction. I personally don't think we'll be Fylde. I think we'll be lucky to get away with a point on Saturday. But I do think that this might be the wake-up call for Adam Murray. And I think I'm hoping he's watching this at 9 o'clock tonight saying the lads are right. I need to find my best 11. And I think he needs to go out there instead of trying to tinker and instead of trying to say, okay, which player does best against which player, etc., just put your best 11 players on the field, let them play together, let them get beaten around a bit, let them, make mistakes, let them start gelling. And I still think we're in with a shout this season. And I agree totally with what John's saying, that this league feels a lot stronger from the off than it did last season. But I agree with what he said in his interview. I think we have a really strong squad of players, but they need to gel. They need time to gel, but they need time to play together. That's where picking your best 11 comes in.
I don't get it.
And I don't think there's whilst we're saying, he needs to find his best 11, like Adam Murray is a he's a top notch manager at this level. So it's not that he sat there. He's going to sit there and watch this and go, "Oh my god, why didn't I think of that? Find my best 11. Oh, geez,
Oh,
yes, that's what
damn
we'll do
it.
tomorrow."
In my
But
head, that's what he's going to do.
but I think that we're all in agreement that there's been too much tinkering, too much messing
Yeah.
around, and surely in training in the games he's had, he can go, okay, right, this is essentially my best team. I know there's going to be squad rotation. We've got great squad depth, so of course, but that squad rotation, 2, 3 players a game, not wholesale changes, and really there's got to be a team that play together and get used to playing together, because if we're making big changes, chopping and changing captains, then it's going to have a negative effect. It's going to be to the detriment of us being able to put a run together. So I'd like to see us put a team out Saturday
Consistency.
that will start on Monday, or as near as damn it start on Monday.
Can I just say, we called it right, correct, guys? We did say at the beginning of the season, our defense, no, no one's getting past that defense. And although they have, we're still unbeaten, if you know what I mean. So that kind of works a bit. But I agree with what you're saying as well. I squad rotation, surely that comes in like December, January, right? When
Yeah.
they're all knackered and
Mm.
the weather's really bad. Is that not what we do? It's not like well, John, you coach the kids. Isn't it's not like you coaching the kids like, oh, well, little Sammy can have 5 minutes here. That's fine. And little Johnny, well, Johnny was rubbish, but we'll give him another go just because we can. You don't think
Well,
you just got to win the game, man?
yeah, it's slightly different ways,
I was going to
because
say,
you
I'm
want to give
actually thinking you
you
probably
want to give
would do.
everyone some game
But
time.
it might not be. That's the whole
And
point.
also there's especially during the summer, there's not that many players to be able to rotate, because they're all quite rightly having fun in the sun. But I think it's just that we just need to have a solid 11, and one or two of those changing in and out is not a problem. But we need to have a team that we're saying you never change a winning team. That's a phrase that we want to be heard ringing around Agbra as soon as possible.
Mhm.
Right, so we've got 7 minutes now. John, um, now this episode 18 wasn't for me, John, and it wasn't for you. It was for that guy over there with his fan club, Dan, because he lost it last night and he was like, something like that. So Dan, do you feel better now you've had your say and stuff?
I feel, I mean, there is one last thing I want to say,
Oh, Jesus
or
Christ.
one last topic I want us to discuss, and that's Willoughby. Because I watched him quite closely last night, and I'm no tactical expert. God, if I was, I'd be bloody managing Harriers. But I sort of feel like Kurt Willoughby is desperate to be playing off the shoulder of the last man, and he wants the ball just slid round the back to him for him to turn, run onto, and finish. And I can see the way he's shaping his body. He's looking for that turn. What we don't have, and I think this comes back to the point I made earlier about the final ball, there isn't anybody trying to put the ball in for him at the moment. I sort of feel that when Mooney was with us and we saw it in the friendlies, Mooney was the man doing that, but nobody else has stepped up to that play. And I'd love to see it from Adigan, picking the ball up in the middle, running at the defender, drawing a man in, and just sliding it through. And I feel like currently what we're trying to do is lump a ball over the top to Willoughby, and it's just not working for him at all. And he had nothing to play off yesterday other than the header in the second half that he probably should have scored. Everything else, I just feel like he's not even got crumbs to mop up. I really feel for Kurt Willoughby right now.
I don't. Just give him the ball, he'll score a goal. Simple as that, really, I would have thought.
Maybe
Right.
you should manage, Wes.
Yeah.
It was as easy as that, John, to be fair. We're in the conference now. Any other business? I'll start off, please, because my dad called the Harriers. He went in today actually, and he said, I'd like to get a disabled ticket for my son. And bear in mind, everyone bloody knows me there. I'll get a disabled ticket for my son,
If you
and
do say so yourself.
I know obviously.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm his carer. He said, "Can I have the two tickets, please?" And then they said to him, "No, we need to, we need to see your PIP. We need to see your care reforms." And my dad was like, "My dad's not very good at stuff like this." He was like, "Yeah," he just walked out. He walked out. He was no, but it's like, really, really. He could have said to them something like, "It's for Wes, you know, Wes, because Toby, it's Toby in the club shop, innit, all the time."
Mm.
I know Toby. So yeah, so I was hoping that'd be sorted. But anyway, it's not really a gripe or anything, but it's just annoying for my dad, really, because he didn't understand. So, they've done the right way anyway. So not really a great big bother.
I get that that is really annoying. Whereas I do get it, and being a local club, and knowing a lot of the fans on a regular basis, I get that makes things easier. It is what clubs up and down the country are doing, though. They're
Yeah,
adopting a very uniform stance on needing to see things like that
yeah,
to stop. I'm sure we've all tuned into Super Sunday and seen. I'm not just singling out Liverpool fans, but we've all seen the Anfield disabled section miraculously, jumping as soon as Salah finds the top corner. So it's really to make sure that it's fair all round, and I think I think the club on the whole are doing the best, and hopefully a few games into the season that won't be an issue. Similarly to the guys on the gate, when they're checking tickets, once they reckon, when they've seen our season tickets 2 or 3 times, it's like, well, we know you've got a season ticket. Go on it.
yeah. Going
My,
so dark now, we can't even see. We can't
I
even
know, yeah.
see.
This is I'm witness protection is starting.
They got the light the
Two
wrong way
quick
around.
bits of any other business.
Yeah, go. Got
Mixed
3 minutes.
feedback. Mixed feedback on your boy Seb Thompson. Myself, I thought he had. I thought he struggled to get in the game. The only thing that I saw him do really well in the second half was chasing those second balls, those loose
Mhm.
balls. I think his delivery was pretty average. His final ball was pretty poor. A lot of it was too deep, and he didn't look like he felt comfortable. And was he pacey? Yes, but I mean, you make him sound like Usain Bolt,
He
Wes.
is.
But
He is.
I'd really like to see more from him, and I hope that he gets that opportunity to. I don't think he's a starter. I don't think he's in that best 11, but I'd love him to get that opportunity to come on and prove a few of us wrong. I did speak to some people today. Shout out to Piper, who said that they thought he had a really good game and were singing his praises in terms of doing just that, claiming those second balls.
Yeah.
The other thing, Alex Penny, obviously got us the goal that saved a point for us, really. I think, I really feel for Alex, and I see from everything that the club are posting, and what he's posting as well, how hard he's working to recover from his injury and recapture the fitness and form that he had. I think, he was turned and then had no chance of catching the earn for the goal.
Yeah.
And I think, he was named man of the match. I mean this with the highest of respect, but I think the sponsors might have had a libation or two too many, or watched with the blinds closed, because he's trying, but I think overall he struggled last night. And I know that's weird to say for a man of the match, but I thought there were, David Davis particularly, I thought there were contenders there that deserved it a lot more. And I'd love to see him recapture his fitness and form,
Yeah.
but right now, again, for me, he's not in that best 11.
Well, what a downer to finish on. Thanks, John. Appreciate that.
We'll be filed 2-1. If
Yeah.
Hereford could do it, so could we. Come
Come
on.
on, let's have
Up
it.
the Harriers.
Up the Harriers indeed. Please, if you're loving this, and please, if you're loving it, subscribe, join Dan's fan club. We do it for you. And this weekend coming, we'll hit 30,000 views, which is just insane. And that's literally in 3 months and a bit, and that's it. Listen, guys, thank you so much. John, thank you, Dan. I hope you got it all out your system. And yeah, we'll catch you guys on Sunday for another one.